Hey, this is Carter Machiavelli. Instead of doing politics today, I'm going to tell you a fun little story about the top three of what I would consider the stupidest shit I have ever done. Now, this dates back to 2021, where I was suffering from severe drug induced psychosis, which was also diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenia, but the actual diagnosis coming from Hungary, from the Hungarian psychiatry, was severe drug-induced psychosis. And I'm not going to yap a lot about this. I'm going to talk about the aftermath later. So, place 3 is the stupid decision of mine to climb up a bank building which was covered in a construction site, whatever, framework. And while in and of itself, a lot of people do this, this is not like really that crazy. I was more of doing it for the beautiful side and somehow just for exploring things, right? Now, the stupid thing I've done is to upload that on Instagram and tag the bank, sort of troll the bank. Now, why did I do this? I have no fucking idea. I was really out of my mind at that time and I didn't really know what the fuck I was doing. Now, let me show you the pictures right here. Got. Right, we're done, I think, right? Yeah. That was about it. Nice look, but that's it. Number 2. Riding a bicycle on the highway. So, this was more of an, I would say, accidental stunt of mine, so more of a necessity of mine, because at that time I worked at a different city and I needed to go to travel by train to get to that city, and I drove the rest by bike. Now, the problem with the train was that at that time it was under construction, so the trains weren't active. So there was no train arrival and train departure at that station up until the next largest city. So what I did to get to work is to take the train to the other large city and ride the bike from there, which was basically most of the time downhill. Which also meant that if I wanted to go back with the bike, I would have to go uphill again, so I decided, fuck it, this road looks flat to the parallel to the train tracks, so I was following this road, and it went well for like 3 kilometers until there was a split intersection. If I had gone left, I was checking Google Maps, but I didn't find any really stable route which wouldn't have taken me, 5 hours to get to the train station. I could have gone the complicated route, but I was really in a hurry and I wanted to get back home to smoke weed. So I decided to drive up the highway because it was simply easier for me to navigate there and simply quicker. Now, this resulted in me almost getting hit like twice by a truck. Basically in the, I think it was the right curve. The curve to the right. Because of the angle, if you take the curve to the right, the trucks couldn't see me from behind and they almost crashed into me. So they were like yanking the horn, and one of the trucks was even as close as was overtaking as close as 20 centimeters past me. Now, there were a lot of horns ringing, a lot of horns sounding during this ride. This ride took about, like, I don't know, 4 to 5 kilometers, maybe even a bit longer, like 5 to 6 maybe. It was a seriously long ride until I finally got off onto some kind of dirt road or something, which led to the university of that city. And to this day, I still don't know how the fuck I survived that. So I consider myself lucky, basically, that both that I could keep myself under control and not panic whenever some kind of car or truck was sounding its horn. And of course, also I consider myself lucky that the drivers were reacting quickly enough and there was no drunk driver or whatever on the highway. So I didn't get hit and basically splattered to death. Now, I have a video of it, which I'm going to blend in right here. And that being said, basically the stupidest thing I've done was to prank the police. Now, this happened later in 2021, when basically my bike was taken away for the reason mentioned in place 2. And I was at a stop of smoking weed, so I was abstinent of weed for 3 days. And what weed has done to me is reduce my insane motivation to troll and do unhinged bullshit. But of course, because of the psychosis, the weed has stacked the psychosis and I got more insane when it comes to trolling and doing unhinged shit. So I decided to prank the police by using a jerry can, filling it with tap water, and spilling it out in front of the police station. Now, this story is actually pretty funny, but it had disastrous consequences. Now, what happened was that basically they saw on the cameras, and the policemen that were getting out of there saw that I was spilling water. Like, they didn't think it was water, but I was spilling something out of the jerry can in front of the police cars. And a couple of blocks forward, a couple of meters, like I think 100 meters or something short, as I was finished passing by the police station, they really calmly blinked their lights, pulled by next to me, got out and asked what I was doing. And they basically looked down my clothes, they touched me, like performed a search on me, that was the word I was looking for. And then they arrested me, handcuffed me, and brought me to the police station for interview. Now, they took the jerry can with them, and when I was sitting at the interview, I was asked by the head of the Anti-Terror Commission what I was doing there and why I was spilling petrol out of a jerry can in front of a police station. And I was like, that's not petrol, that's a joke, that's water. And they didn't want to believe me. So a police guy came in, like some high-ranking police guy, not in the Anti-Terror Commission, but one of the local police workers there. He asked me, like, why did you spill petrol in front of the police station? I was like, that's not petrol, that's water. And he was like, are you sure? You want to drink a cup? And I was like, yeah, sure. And this dude, this police worker, he just looked at me shocked, like, alright, I'll be right back. Now, it got even funnier. The police officers, the Anti-Terror Commission guy, and another kind of office worker, police office worker, they came into the room where I was sitting basically in the room with a steel bench, and I had a thick glass wall where I could see them. And this anti-terror commission dude, he basically poured the water into a cup, had a sign, a sticker written there, which said patrol. And they both like smelled it, and it didn't smell like petrol, and they were like, they couldn't handle this. They were like somehow laughing. And another police officer came in, and he thought that prank was really disrespectful, and he didn't find this funny at all. The other half of the police station, they laughed their asses off. They found it ridiculously hilarious. But it was like kind of a mixed response to my prank. Now, what has happened afterwards is the biggest problem of it, because that's the big life lesson: don't prank the police. Because it's not illegal to pour water out of a jerry can, they couldn't sue me. What they tried to do, however, was try to find any way to get me to say that it was petrol. And I basically dodged all of their corrupt mechanisms. What they also tried to do is basically enter it in the documents, file the papers even though it is not in the right, and persecute me for that because of terror threats or whatever the fuck. Now, this has led to severe problems. Basically, me getting spied on all the time. My GPS getting tracked. Basically everything I post right here is getting watched by German police and probably also by German intel agencies. And it hasn't stopped ever since. Now, this is kind of interesting in a sort of sense, because after a while, this should stop, right? So they should basically clear the charges, because at the end of the day, my brothers, they were fed up. They were basically also scared for my life and fed up with my behavior, that they decided to put me in a Hungarian psychiatric ward, where I was medicated and came out. And since then, I haven't behaved in such a ridiculous manner. I still like to do climbing on buildings and stuff like that, but I don't have the same audacity I had before. And I also don't do any other kinds of shit that threatens or terrifies other people's lives. Now, the thing is, this has still didn't stop. Like, the surveillance still didn't stop. They were looking for any kind of way to file new surveillance charges against me. And that's the main reason why I still have troubles with the German government, and how I realized that this is basically capable to be one of the most corrupt governments if they want to. Therefore, of course, they couldn't shoot me. In America, they would have shot me for that, so that's a thing to consider. However, this should be a life lesson that whatever fucking state you're in, don't mess with the police and don't do stupid shit. It may be funny at first, until you see the long-term consequences. Thank you for watching.